Hey there. So, I'll be doing a tarot reading right now. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Lately, I've been too irritated by like 1 hour reads. Oh my god, why is this? Lately, I've been too irritated with those 1 hour reads, and God knows what types of reads people produce out there. And I was like, man, we need shorter forms. We need like 18 minutes reading or a 20-minute reading, nothing more than that. It gets too irritating. Also, the lighting. Yeah. Now we are up for something. Let's see. Om Ganpati Namaha, Om Shivaya Namaha, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Wow. Change of perspectives. Yes, that is exactly how it feels like. Like there is a total shift in perspective in the way things are being looked up as. I think I did hear about this thing where I've heard that many astrologers are talking about Uranus going into Gemini and stuff. Could be that. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see what comes out for you guys in this reading. Mother of Cups or the Queen of Cups upright. Four of Wands in the reverse. Back of the deck we have the Knight of Pentacles. It's not in reverse. Knight of Pentacles, okay. So let's see. Hmm. I don't know, it gives me an energy of um yeah, basic etiquettes, um, proper mannerisms. I feel like this is more of an energy of people realizing how much of basic etiquettes and proper mannerisms actually come from um the actual intentions of these etiquettes were not because of were not made to make people feel that they are more elitist or more um bigger or in a much better in a much higher position than others, but the reason why etiquettes and manners exist is to maintain or uh, a proper professional or formal sort of attitude around people. That is the reason why that's personally why I think basic etiquettes and manners are required. Like you don't go out there and talk to someone rudely. You do not do that, especially in this economy when everybody is going through so much BS, right? Like capitalism is just effing our heads. Everyone around you is like trying to find ways to get employed. There's layoffs going on all over. Um, yeah. That like the basic etiquettes that we as normal human beings, the common sense that we are taught, it actually comes from um our own compassion, right? Like the reason why we decide to talk politely with someone is because we as humans feel that kindness and compassion towards other people to be that kind towards others, right? And I think this is a sort of realization that many people don't think that like many people are always like, I'm not that sensitive, I'm not that vulnerable, because they feel like, being sensitive or being vulnerable kind of takes away like something from their heart or something like that. It makes them vulnerable to other people's bullying and all that stuff. But it literally doesn't. Behaving properly or behaving nicely doesn't makes you look weak, but it shows how kind and compassionate you are towards others, um, regarding any situation. Your own sense of self, it shows your own sense of self respect, your own sense of self worth, and how much you're ready to respect yourself even if you are in in a position where you, even if you are in a position of a janitor or oh my god, that's the wrong thing, I shouldn't have said that. But even if you are in a position of someone or some sort of work that even if you're in a position that you wouldn't want to take in your life, right? I'm so sorry I used that word right there. I did not mean to say that. It's for what I mean to say is that sometimes, people like to look down on unskilled labor a lot. Many people try to justify unskilled labor. Like it's a unskilled labor is a myth that is created by the capitalist society to justify poor wages. But the thing is, many people buy into that idea, and they feel like, being an unskilled, having an unskilled labor, like being a janitor, being a housemaid, being doing anything that is low skilled, or not that doing something that is so low skilled and everything, it it makes people feel like that's a very low sort of job, even though that job requires far more hard work than any other job, right? So I just feel like there is a sense where you're kind of understand, where there is a sense that, there is a shift in perspective, where you're able to see, or where you're able to understand that these jobs are not to be looked down upon, but it's basically like, even if life went really bad or in a really miserable position, you will take up that job as well, just to, like, if suppose something really bad happened, or really miserable happened, like, I'm just asking you to see through that perspective. If something like that happened, you know for a fact that you might not always get a high skilled job. Sometimes that job market isn't available for us. Sometimes you won't be able to make through that job market of some high skilled job. At that time, people will have to take up some jobs which they used to call unskilled labor, right? So I think there is a shift in perspective that once you learn how to respect, how to fully pay respects to people of these kinds of, who do these kinds of job and who are working in this poor wage centric centers, right? You will realize that, oh, okay, like, you will realize that the etiquettes and manners, they don't just exist for elitist people or people with high skill. It also, your behavior with people who are doing the so called unskilled labor, once you uh, once you learn that you need to behave with people in, like, once you learn that that sort of behavior, that sort of polite behavior extends to those types of people as well, that shows how much self respect you have for yourself as a person. Because even if you fall to that sort of level, even if life puts you in any sort of unprecedented misery, unprecedented sorrow, or any sort of, you know unnatural event or circumstances, you are ready to take up that job. You are ready to, you're ready to respect yourself, even if life puts you in the most in the most, like, dogged up situations. Like, you can still like, you can still stand up, you can still, um like you like once you start giving yourself respect based, like, once you start understanding that etiquettes and social, like, it's a sort of understanding that is, I think, that is coming through in here, or that is something that I'm being told to talk about, that once you understand how to respect the unskilled labor, the so called unskilled labor, the so called poor wages, you realize that etiquettes and social manners were not something that were made to appear elitist or anything like that. It was a like, the reason why etiquettes and social manners are necessary, it's because you are the one who is being compassionate and kind towards other people, and you understand their situation, you are kind enough to understand their situation, you're compassionate enough to understand their situation. That is the that social manners, that etiquettes that you give to people of these to people who are, currently in that sort of situation in their life right now, you realize that giving them that sort of respect, or showing that adequate actually makes you that sort actually makes you a very kind and compassionate person. It's a hallmark of you being kind and compassionate towards other people. So do not let any do not let anyone take that away from you. Even if people like to call that kind, like people like to call your kindness as a weakness, I think that's a your social etiquette with people of these kinds actually show the sort of self-worth and self-respect you have within yourself. Do not let anyone take that away from you. Four of Wands in reverse definitely gives me like this, um it actually sort of signifies the archetype. When it is an upright, it sort of signifies an archetype of structure, right? When it is in reverse, it gives me an idea of and like the structure being the structure being dismantled. So that is what it feels like your kindness and your compassion is basically, it gives me the, like it is the kindness and compassion that you are ready to give to someone, to anyone. Like, if you are ready to give that sort of kindness and compassion to anyone whose life is unstable at a point of their life, you are someone who is ready, who is more than ready to face the most unstable situations in your life, because you understand how to give yourself that respect, because you understand that your self-worth doesn't depends on the amount of money you earn, or the unskilled labor that you do, or whatever this capitalist society, or the poor wages that you get. Your worth doesn't depends on that. So this reading kind of gives me that sort of, I don't know, I just want to give out that message right there. I think maybe, yeah, it just gives me a feeling that you're strong. If you are someone like that, you're strong. You have, if you have that type of self-worth within you, you're strong. Be proud of yourself. Ten of Swords right here. See what we have in the back of our deck. Moon upright. Yes. So definitely this gives me a lot of energy of, yeah, I think this is a thing. If you're scared that someone is going to betray you, something really wrong or something really bad is about to happen to you or anything like that, just know that you have the power within you to stand upright, to, how should I say, to to wear it all down. I'm getting the word wear it all down, but I actually don't want, yeah, I want to say endure. You have the ability to endure that. Do not be afraid, or do not be scared of something wrong or something bad happening to you, because we are living in a capitalist society where bad things are already happening to some people, like their unskilled labor, though one of the most hardworking works that they do right there, just, and the only reason like it's skilled. It takes a lot of skill to understand which season we need to actually, which season we need to sow which crop on the field. It takes skill to remember all the employee orders in your head. It takes skill to basically diligent to keep your house clean, or to keep someone else's house clean. That cleanliness and all, it's a sense. It's a sense that a person develops in their head. Okay, so yeah, sometimes, yeah, it can be chalked down as a, the only reason why it is chalked down to unskilled labor is because it doesn't has any smart work to it. It's basically a, it's basically a hard work situation, right? So I'm just getting that no matter what sort of no matter what sort of bad thing happens in your life, whether it's a tragedy or it's an accident or it's anything, no matter what happens in your life, if your mindset is is made of steel, and if you are ready to respect, and if your self-worth is like at this much, and you are ready to respect yourself, and no matter what happens in your life, I feel like, yeah, no matter what happens in your life, if you have that strength, if you have that mental strength in your head, you will be able to, yeah, you will be able to endure it all. It won't matter to you. Yes, it might hurt, but you can endure it all. You have the strength within you. Okay. With the Knight of Pentacles, yeah, you it's like you understand the patience that it takes or that it requires to build that sort of money. If you understand the patience and the build that requires to create a legacy from an unskilled labor or from those so-called poor wages, if you understand that sort of patience that is taken by people who work under um, these unskilled jobs or anything, or poor wages category, like if you understand like how these people are having that much patience to build their money and everything else, I think you have you will have that internal strength within you to fight back, to endure whatever life throws in your way, because you have already understood that lesson, you already know that lesson. I think for many of you, maybe for some of you for whom this message resonates a lot, I feel like if you have been belittled for your kindness, if you have been belittled for your innocence, or if you have been belittled for having that compassion towards people who are unskilled, or people who are um who have poor wages, and people have shamed you for not looking down on such people, or people have shamed you for actually trying to give respect to these types of people, I think you're being told that you have that strength within you. You have that strength within you, that if you're scared of, if you're scared of, if you're thinking that one day what will happen if someone in my level actually like betrays me, or does something wrong to me or anything like that, if you have that, if you have that fear within you, if you have that fear mindset within you, that if you have that fear mindset within you, that something, like if a person betrays me, I'll be, if this XYZ person at this high level or this authority level will do something bad to me or betray to me, so I'll just, so if they do that, I'll perish completely. Know that you don't have to be scared of that, because you have already learned your lesson, you already know a lot. It won't matter to you, it won't affect you the way you think it would affect. Maybe it's just the overthinking, or maybe it's just the um I don't know, little barrages. I'm getting the word barrages. I don't know what barrages mean, but I think it's kind of like, it's like the little crickets in your head that are like um repeating the same thing to you, that if they betray you, or if you are not able, if you don't people please them, or if you don't do anything to cover to them, or lick their booty or anything like that, you might actually end up falling down. I don't think that's the case with you guys. um Also, I'm getting like two of cups, and I'm getting four of okay, I'm getting sick of something, so I don't know, maybe this is some sort of relationship with someone, and you're sick of having a relation. This could be a person that you might be like working with in the past, or this could be like the type of connections that you're sick of right now. Like this could be the type of connections that you're with, like maybe you have to like collaborate with these people, maybe you have to work with these types of arrogant people, but it just, and you're kind of sick of them, you're kind of really sick of them. I'm also getting like, yeah, you're kind of sick of them, and maybe there is like this inner I won't I don't it's, yeah, it's like this inner judgment that you have of these people, that is kind of like your inner judgment, or your inner, I think, yeah, your inner light or your inner peace, like from wherever you're judging these types of people from, I think it's kind of exploding, because maybe you're losing your own control on your anger. It could be that. I don't know why I'm getting like this explosion because of the internal judgment. So it basically gives me um, like you're judging, like, yeah, you're trying to make someone realize that that is not the reason why, and you're trying to make them realize what is actually going on, and you're trying to tell them that no, sir, madam, you shouldn't look down on people like these, because that is not a good thing to do. I think you want to like, it's not like teach someone a lesson, but you want someone to understand the situation that other people are going through. And I just feel like it isn't hitting the mark. Like whatever you're saying, the person in front of you isn't understanding what you're saying. Like they are not totally able to get what you're trying to tell them because of the ego in their head and everything else. And I think many of you could feel so. Yeah, I feel like many of you could feel so um, guilt ridden. I don't know, guilt ridden, or you could feel like you could feel so guilty working with these types of people because they don't truly respect your ethics or your values. They truly they don't truly understand what you actually are working for. And maybe because of, maybe you're someone who's very, I don't know, I think this sort of this could be like people who are very much into emotional, like they consider their work as their emotion or something like that. But if you're someone like that and you just feel like um yeah, you just feel like giving up, because you just feel like giving up all your legacy behind, all that money behind, because you just feel like the people you're working with don't really understand your personal background, don't really understand your misery, don't really understand the place that you're coming from, and actually look down on people like you, who have, like, people like you, in the sense, people, you might have been that type of person in your past, right? You might have been one of those people who was earning through unskilled labor, and you have found a new group of people finally in your life after working so hard, and you just realize that all these people look down on people, like people who do unskilled labor. And you kind of feel, you might feel really guilty to work with these types of people. You might want to give up. There could be a case like that. But I think this is something that is going on in your subconscious right now. And I think that is the subconscious programming that you need to change. That maybe all these people and all their thoughts, all these things aren't going to come with you for the rest of your life. Whatever legacy that you create isn't going to be a part of their money. Yeah, you might work with them and create something, but it doesn't has to be something that will be created through, like, but it doesn't means that, I feel like, yeah, do not, like, this is the thing, like, I think you're standing quite straight, like you're standing up to your morals, you're standing up to your ethics, but standing up for those ethics just feels like you're trying to push away the very thing that made you or built you who you are, right? And it just feels like you're lying to yourself. Maybe that's a feeling that's coming through in here. That's a feeling that is coming through in here. Maybe that's the kind of subconscious way your mind has been programmed for. And I want to see any advice for this. Mm. Father of Pentacles, upright. This is the advice card that comes in here. Let's see the bottom of the deck. Ace of Wands in reverse. I think the thing is, you're being asked to become the resource. I think you have the potential, or hmm, I don't know how to. Wait a second. I think this card is giving me more about community rather than it is giving me about people. It gives me more about it. Yeah, it gives me, rather than it gives me about freedom. Like, yeah, sorry, I said people, right? So I'm getting more like, instead of saying no to the opportunities that you're getting in your hand, saying no to what you actually love to do. Because I feel like many of you could be in this sort of mindset where you could be trying to give up your opportunities, trying to give up what you actually love to do, what you really want to do, for maybe because you have misunderstood the actual meaning of money. Money is basically the time that you are investing. It's the amount of time that you're investing into something, and you're being asked to build that community, build that people based community around you, and work with people who match with your vision, who want to build with your vision, right? Rather than working with people basically every single thing that you don't want to be in your life. Yeah, like this card right here, it gives me more about being a leader or trying to build a community of people who are trying to see things in the perspective that you see those things as. Yeah, I feel like this card is like talking more about building communities. Like, it's like, do not waste your time with people whom you don't resonate with. Don't waste your time with those people. Instead, go towards those people who actually need your company, who would actually enjoy that vibe that you bring, who would actually enjoy the sort of values and ethics that you bring with yourself. Your ethics and your morals are of value, are your worth. Okay, that's the reason why we say some people have really high standards. Sixth house energy in astrology. Basically, the bigger boundaries you have, the more you understand, right? Because after sixth house, we have seventh house. That is a house of shared resource. Sorry, it's yeah, that's a house of like open enemies, and that's where the shared resources start coming, right? It's basically it comes from the eighth house, but yeah, eighth house is I think hidden resources or something like that, and then seventh house is the shared resources, I guess. That's what it's showing me right now. It's kind of like, yeah, move past this energy, move past the energy of these people who are bringing this sort of energy within you, and try to go or look for a community that is actually giving you that sort of space, that sort of time, that sort of energy for you to bring your for you to and resonates with your moral values, right? Rather than going with people who are um, still sitting right there for the commercialization of things that, like, who are still standing, who are still staying in a place just because of the commercialization of something, rather than understanding the crux of what it means to be. I also feel like this also gives me like I don't know, it reminds me of a story of a person who was like, who would always follow basic etiquettes. They would act really classy and everything, but they would laugh at people who are unskilled, people who do unskilled labor, or the so-called unskilled labor, or people who work in the poor, people who have poor wages or get poor wages, by this capitalist society. So they would always often laugh at that. And I would always wonder what sort of etiquette or manners does this person has, other than the fact that they are mostly they are a sellout of commercialized society. They are sellout of capitalism. I don't find any sort of etiquette or manners in this person's behavior or anything else like that. I just feel like maybe that's something that you need to see. That's something, maybe that is something maybe you also realized about someone in your life. And maybe if this message resonates, then yeah, if this message gives you any idea or any advice on something, the advice is to find your own community, find your own time to mingle with such kind of people, with the kind with such kind of people, with grace, with grace and authority. Yeah, I am getting daughter of cups, which is page of cups. It's basically like, yeah, your inner child or your inner emotions don't need to be compromised just because of the commercialization, just because there are some sellouts around you. You can always create a boundary with them when you're talking to them, but it doesn't means that you need to let those people inside your life or in your life just because they and their goals kind of match with your goals. Goals can match, but visions cannot. So yeah, your vision is unique to you. Build your own community for yourself. Goodbye, take care, tada.